Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with our second updated complete guide for the new patch 5.1, and today we're going to be back with Xayah. Now as we know, in patch 5.1, Xayah got some massive buffs on her W and her E, and I already thought that Xayah was in a really good spot. But of course, before we jump into all of that juicy details, of course don't forget to check out her basic guide that I'll put up in the cards above for her skills, delivering order tips and tricks as well as some combos. But now hopping into her build, we first, of course, are going to start off. It's a really similar build to the last one, but we're going to start off with the Gluttonous Greaves. Of course, first item is still Bloodthirster, which is still the best first item on basically almost every crit ADC. Gives you the AD, the Vamp, as well as the additional stats when you're high on health. Of course, on Xayah, Quick Blade's really important. She is a very spell-dependent ADC. Her W is really important for the attack speed and extra, movement speed and stuff. And of course, her E is one of her main forms of damage and safety as well, because you can pull back the feathers to prevent people from just running at you. And the main real change comes here, where you are not gonna go for Magnetic Blaster anymore, but instead going for IE. Now you could still go for Magnetic Blaster, not really a problem with that. I still think that the Magnetic Blaster build is really good, but I think IE now is just a really strong item. Despite the fact you're losing health, you're going to get a lot more extra crit damage from IE, and your auto attacks are going to do just so much more damage with the extra crit, and of course the AD and stuff from the item. And in this like one-shot meta, having as much damage as you can is kind of really important, because in a lot of times it's just who can one-shot the other faster. So it kind of becomes really important. Of course, more reminder for the Armor Pen and the anti-heal, and especially because you're going for like a item that reduces your health, you want to go for a defensive item as your last item. So this can come in many forms. Could be a GA for the revive, could be something like a Maw against a heavy magic damage team, could be even some bruiser item like a Black Cleaver to just compensate for the health loss. Still a pretty solid item. I mean, you get like AD, ability haste, health, all just good stats, a little bit of armor shred and movement speed as well. Or something like a Sterex could work as well. You do get like 5 movement speed reduction, but I don't think that's very big. 5 movement speed is not too bad. It's not nothing, but it's not too bad. You get a huge amount of health though, and of course you get extra AD and the lifeline passive as well. Of course, this is now also a ruined item, so you kind of get a lot of good stats as well, and you only lose 5 movement speed for it. Also, you could also go for like an entire defensive item. You could go for something like a Spirit Visage, or like even a Randuin's Omen, things like that, if enemy team is heavy like AD, AP, or crit, or whatnot. And then, of course, next up we have the runes. So we're actually going to go for Lethal Tempo. In this case, you could still go for Conqueror, to be honest, because you do still have a lot of attack speed from your W and stuff. But I prefer Lethal Tempo personally, because I just like the attack speed that I get from it. Of course, we have Brutal, Giant Slayer, or Coup de Grace. Most of the time it's going to be Giant Slayer because it has more value. And we have Alacrity here for the extra attack speed, of course, since we no longer have attack speed item in our build. And of course, over here you can go for Bone Plating for the defensive stats, or you could go for like Hex Flash for the utility. And for the spells, it's going to be Flash. And most of the time, it's going to be Ghost, of course, except in certain instances where there are a lot of assassins and you need Exhaust, which will be the case in the match later on, as you will see. But yeah, let's jump on to the gameplay right now. Okay, so now moving on to the gameplay. As usual, of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to address them, or, at least drop a heart. So, now straight into the gameplay. What I basically wanted to say, kind of at the start of the video, but I decided to save it for a little bit later, is, honestly, I think that Xayah is probably one of, if not the best ADCs at the moment. Like, in the few matches I played with her, I feel that she's really strong. And now, take note of, 2 things. Like, firstly, she is really mainly good into like people who wants to go into you, and secondly, she was already in a good spot. So like last patch, like pre 5.1, which is like what, patch 5.0 C, like she was already a really strong, really good ADC, but she's especially good into champs who want to go into you. So I would really only pick her into champs that really want to go into you, and you wouldn't really pick her otherwise. Like, what I mean by champs that want to go into you is like champions who want to dash at your face. Champions like Riven, for example, Darius, champions like that, or some assassins, for example. But Now, honestly, I feel that she might be strong enough to just play in like any match. You know, that's kind of the real difference that I really feel. It's like she's really good. The itemization is really good. The stats on all of your abilities are all like really good, and you can basically kind of play Xayah in almost every match. Of course, in matches where you're gonna have multiple people who want to run into you, she's gonna be completely broken. But into like just other normal matchups, she's gonna be a really strong, solid ADC. Now this matchup is kind of like alright. It's not really the best Xayah matchup. It's not the worst either, because if you think about it, Gwen wants to go into you, but she has the Shroud, so you can't really root her unless she's literally on top of you. Evelyn wants to go into you, but she can just one-shot you before you can react with your ulti, so it's kind of like a skill check kind of issue. Yone wants to go into you as well, but he can just snap back to his ghost whenever he wants to. And here, we actually have a fight here, but I actually don't end up killing the Xayah here. Like, I'm not sure if Wall Rift is buggy or what, but I wanted to flash instantly to kill her there, but it just didn't allow me to flash. And there was another time I was playing like a Samira game, and my joystick kind of just bugged out, and I just stood still in the middle of a team fight, and I could not move. Like, I couldn't walk anywhere. I wasn't CC'd or anything. Like, in fact, I wasn't even getting attacked. I survived standing still for 5 seconds in the team fight, but I couldn't kill anyone because I couldn't move. Like, I was just rooted. I was just rooted to the spot by my joystick. But here I was trying to flash, and it didn't allow me to flash. I'm not sure what's going on here. It must be some kind of bug in the game or something like that. But I ended up flashing like 2 seconds after I wanted to, and I do just end up dying. So again, back to the Xayah discussion on this game. Karma doesn't really want to run into you, and Xayah does, but if Xayah plays it right, she can ult to a spot where she can't get rooted. So it's kind of like an okay Xayah game. Like Xayah does have some value here, but not really the most. Really good job by Karma here to root me and remove the Black Shield, but she dies anyway, so it does work out for us altogether. Spotted Evelyn briefly, yeah, there we go. Spotted Evelyn briefly on the Crux, so we do know that she is in the area, and we don't really want to mess about too much, because after she does the Crux, she could just go invis and just walk into lane without us knowing, since we don't have any control wards in the river. Speaking of which, I probably should change my normal warding totem to a controller. Now here, my Morgana just goes all in on the Xayah, which kind of baits me to follow, and I'm now kind of stuck in this awkward spot where I have to fight, and I end up trading with the Xayah, but I'm probably going to die here. Yeah, I do end up dying, but Talon is here for the counter gank, and he does trade 1 for 1 as well. So overall, we trade 2 for 2. And yeah, I don't think much else is going to happen here. Okay, Karma actually just walks straight back into Talon. Talon's bleed does proc, but Talon survives, and so does Karma, I believe. Yep, so overall it's just a 2 for 2 trade. Oh, Talon's going back in on the tower, and Talon dies. So Karma does get the trade. So not really a 2 for 2 trade in the grand scheme of things. More like a 2 for 3. But anyways, now we are back off of the revive, and not really the hottest start to the game, which I guess is even better to show how strong Xayah is. Like, we're at 1 and 2. Here, Karma gets caught, dies instantly with the chain CC from Xayah and Morgana. Like, it get hit by a Morgana root, you're dead most of the time. Oh, speaking of which, another Morgana root comes in, pull back feathers, and there goes Xayah. Here in comes Evelyn. I actually ult here to prevent myself from getting ulted, and Morgana root comes in again into the Xayah root into death. Beautiful. We literally just did the same thing 3 times. Morgana hits root, Xayah hits root, die. Like, literally 3 times in a row, that's exactly what happened. Now here, I have to flash because Karma root is going to hit onto me, and if that happens, Karma can just run me down and just kill me. So I have to flash there to break the tether between me and Morgana. Definitely a lesson learned from a lot of other encounters with Karma, where I try to be greedy with my flash, but I end up just dying instead. So I'm not going to take any chances this time. I'm just going to pop the flash and, you know, stay alive. So here, with those kills in the pocket, we are able to complete our Bloodthirster, and we have a really decent goal lead against the Xayah. So we're in a definitely very solid spot. Root connects onto the Xayah, but unfortunately I'm not really there in time for a follow-up. If I was there just half a second earlier, that would have been another kill. But it's alright, we do manage to basically chunk out the Xayah to the point that she either has to recall or farm on the tower, which means she's not in this fight. So here, enemy team does pick up the dragon, but I'm just going for probably some kills. I exhaust Yone, huge root goes onto Yone, Yone snaps back, so we don't manage to kill Yone. But we do have Evelyn here in the backline, we do get rid of her. And Yone is also surviving on 1 HP, so he has to run for the hills as well. Xayah now back into the lane off of her recall. And Rift Herald getting dropped here. We pick up the first tower and we get all of the tower plates, of course shared with Talon, who did drop the Herald. And then we traded Dragon for Herald, which is a really good trade. I'd love to take that trade. And we also pick up, a couple of kills. So good, real lovely stuff. And we're gonna back and build towards Navori. Now, some people like building Navori as a third item, so they like to go for like either IE or go for like Blaster as their second item. Personally, I like to go for Navori second item because I think that's kind of the point where when you go for Navori second item, you can pretty much get permanent uptime on your attack speed ability, whether it's on like Xayah or like Tristana or champs like that. Basically, when you get Navori second item, you basically get permanent uptime on your attack speed ability, which I think is really the goal of having Navori, aside from the other benefits like also getting a lower E cooldown, etc. So we managed to force down the mid lane tower, and yeah, we're in a pretty good spot as a team. We got a decent lead against the enemy team, and everyone on my team kind of more or less doing well. Except for Vladimir, who's a little bit behind, and she's not even really behind. He's just like about even. So everyone's kind of just doing all right versus their counterparts. Yeah, so pretty solid game. A fight breaks out in mid lane. I'm trying to make my way there as quickly as I can, but my team is kind of just dying one by one. So as I say, everyone's doing fine. Not really. People are just dying left and right. 2 people end up going down. Vladimir is now on 1 HP. He's getting dived. He looks like he's dead as well. Xayah getting chased down by Talon. Talon does pick up the kill, but Xayah not really the most valuable target at this point in time. Honestly, I wouldn't even know who the valuable target on the Arden team is. Their team kind of nobody's really doing that well, so I guess Xayah is an alright target to go for as a Talon. I mean, never really wrong to go for the ADC. Kind of sucks when you play ADC and that's what all the assassins think. But anyways, we clean up the bot wave that's dying to tower. We're just going to wait for the next wave and probably just push out another wave. Maybe even go for this tower because it's the last tier 1 tower. We can see Gwen in the top lane and 2 people in the mid lane. And we can actually see that they're walking towards top lane. So at most, 2 people are going to show up here, in which case we can just take a fight. We're going to get rid of this tower and we're going to retreat since we don't really have vision on the enemy team. Now we can see 3 people are at top, which is what we pretty much discerned from just now. So we do have a couple options here. We could keep on pushing bot, which is what Vladimir is actually now doing. We could push mid, since we have a wave crashing into the tower, or we could rotate top for a fight. Now, looks like we're rotating top for a fight, because you can see the enemy team is not backing off whatsoever. Like, the disrespect is insane. Like, they're the behind team, and they're so overextended. We just easily run down the Gwen, we flash forward, running down the Xayah as well. She outs away from my feathers. Pretty good move, but she dies anyway. Karma is the next target. Karma dies, but unfortunately Evelyn does come in. I honestly thought I was going to die to her ult there, but I think that the root actually saved my own life because when she's rooted, I believe she can ult since her ult counts as movement as well. And I actually pick up a quadra kill here. So now I'm insanely fed. Most gold in the game. My team is really fed as well. Talon and Yasuo are really high on gold as well. So overall, my team is just doing pretty well, except for Vladimir. He's not doing too hot versus the Gwen now. But, yeah, you can't have everything. The fact that majority of the team is doing well is already pretty amazing in my book. So here I'm just going to pick up the blue buff, since Morgana has left the blue buff there for a long time. I'm assuming she doesn't want it. Blue buff on Xayah really useful for faster cooldowns as well as unlimited mana to spam your spells, which is a problem on Xayah if you stay out on the map for too long, but normally isn't too big of an issue. So next dragon is coming up. As the stronger team, we definitely want to be there to contest. I'm also going to clean up the wave of Vladimir instead of just coming here. I do get all of the CS though, so not too big of an issue there. Dragon is of course now up, so we can just start out the dragon, but Talon is kind of making his way here slowly. So instead we're kind of just waiting a little bit. We are starting off the dragon now, dragging out the dragon. I don't believe any enemy team can really do anything about it. We do pick up the dragon. I actually secured the dragon somehow. Maybe the smite didn't come through from Talon or whatnot, but we do secure the dragon. We can see we saw Katarina somewhere around our red buff area, so I'm just pinging to be careful of that area, which I also, not Katarina, but Yone, I believe. So we do want to be careful of the area. Now here I was actually going to pick up the red buff, but it despawns right as I walk over, which is kind of sad. No red buff for me. But yeah, we're just going to pick up a couple of waves instead. And yeah, the waves, of course, give a very good amount of farm. And you always want to be taking waves whenever you can. Now grouping with our team, because it looks like a fight is going to break out in the mid lane. The classic ARAM around the mid game. And here I'm taking a chunk from Morgana. I do lifesteal a lot from the Bloodthirster though, so as long as I have minions to hit, this shouldn't be too much of a problem. Talon now goes in onto the Yone. I'm avoiding the Karma out. Now I'm just a little bit at the side, just trying to go in on somebody. So here Root comes in, I go in with the Root. I have to pop the ulti here. Unfortunately, I get ignited by Yone, and I do end up dying to, I believe it's Karma. I think both Yone and Karma both ignited me, if I'm not mistaken. So double ignite just kills me. Can't lifesteal through the double ignite. But yeah, it's becoming a 2v2 from both teams, the top jungle from both teams. And I know who my money is on because of how our top laner is doing. But he is surviving under tower, and they are getting pretty aggressive. He does end up surviving. Talon now goes in for the cleanup. And our team actually is coming out on top. Xayah now is back in the picture though. I don't think that stasis was necessary. I think he should have kept running, but he does survive anyway. And now we have all respawned, and now the fight continues. So at this point, I've completed my IE. I actually get a stasis to try to counteract Evelyn. But honestly, it's just a reaction time test. Like, Xayah already has ult, if you really think about it. So stasis does help, but not really that much if you think about it. Because if you have your ult up, your ult and your stasis kind of does the same role. And your ult's actually just a better version of stasis. You get feathers down, you get to move, and yeah. But anyways, you know, again, a fight breaks out in the mid lane. Yone looks like he's getting caught, but does end up dying eventually. And his team can't really do too much about it because they are a little bit too behind. So now we're pinging for Baron because we do have one enemy member down. So it's a pretty good time for Baron. Of course, they can't see us doing this because of the Skull Crab, but I mean, we're so strong. If they face check us, they should be getting punished for it. Speaking of which, Evelyn now just comes in. I exhaust her. She doesn't manage to get the execute. I'm now chunked really low. So I see a red buff up. I'm going to use the red buff to lifesteal. You can see the lifesteal I'm getting from the red buff is insane. Talon, I believe... actually, I thought Talon actually smiled the red buff, but I believe that was actually me pulling the red buff and getting the huge heal. But here you can see I'm just lifestealing off of jungle monsters, and I'm pretty much back to like full health. I do have double lifesteal item, of course, with the Bloodthirster and the boots. So, of course, the lifesteal is pretty solid with this build. Really good for fights and just sustain in between fights as well. Honestly, the main issue for me in this match is Evelyn. Like, Yone doesn't really one-shot me. Xayah can't really either. I mean, no one on the team can really one-shot me except Evelyn. Evelyn might be 3 and 6, but she is doing a lot of damage, which is kind of what I'm really afraid of. You can see how much damage I'm doing though. I'm going to ult to prevent myself from getting hit by Karma ult and getting dragged into tower. And we're just going to finish off this tower real quick and just clear up the next wave. Push into the next tower and see what we can do. Probably pick up an inhib here without too big of an issue as seen. And we can now just back off. Baron buff is going to be ending soon. Ideally we want to use it to push other waves, but in reality that kind of isn't happening very much at all. Evelyn comes in from the flank, does ult, and here I'm flanking myself, flanking the Gwen to be specific. And Yone goes back to his ghost. We're going to finish him off, and now we're just going to run down the Xayah, who QSSs nothing basically, and we run her down as well. So obviously now we have more than enough damage to just run people down. The wolves spawn as I'm walking by, so I'm just going to take the wolves to get myself more farm and deny the enemy team as well. Now pushing in this wave into tower, we can easily grab this tower, just like so. Of course, Evelyn and Karma have to kind of defend the base instead of defending the tower, so we are able to get it, and we can reset. Talon is doing the dragon by himself, and we are not 100% crit with the Maul Reminder. In this match, I'm going to build Maul because the Evelyn is really the main issue, and Maul can try to help me to not get one shot, which is, of course, going to be very helpful. And now just grabbing whatever farm I can, as usual, normal ADC things to do. Enemy blue buff as well, grabbed by the Talon. And here once again looks like a fight's gonna break out, so I'm just kind of just walking around with my team to make sure I'm there to deal with damage if a fight does end up happening. Gwen ult does come out. There's a 1v1 again between the Wind brothers in the side lane, and Yasuo does end up coming out on top of it, which he should, because he's like 2k gold ahead of the Yone. So that does work out. And yeah, I mean, there's not really a lot for us to do in mid lane, because there isn't really like a wave or anything to do here. You can see basically this is what happens. Like if you don't react with your ult or your stasis, Evelyn just one-shots you. So like there I just got one shot without doing anything, and this is really the kind of mistakes that we have to avoid, because without us in the fight, our team has a lot less damage. So you look at the goal, we have like 16k gold, the most in the game, by a really fair margin. So we really don't want to be dying like that before we are able to output any damage. But looks like the rest of our team kind of holding their own here. Vladimir picks up the Karma. Gwen is chasing onto the Morgana, and Vladimir is chasing onto the Gwen. Gwen ends up dying to Vladimir, who is, scaling, of course, despite the fact he didn't have the hottest start to the game. And with that, the whole enemy team is aced. Of course, we just have the revival of Yone. We know that Yasuo wins against Yone, so not a lot that he can do there. Vladimir, however, may not, and he nearly actually dies to Yone, is able to escape by the skin of his teeth. And Yasuo wants the inhib, he's probably going to get it. There we go. And a little bit difficult to end here, because the enemy bot lane is going to be respawning soon. They try to go for the endo. Yone goes in with the ulti to delay time and kills the minion wave as well. And I arrive off of my revive to get rid of the Yone. And here, honestly, I feel that the game is more or less won. But of course, we can't really, underestimate what the enemy team can do. I get chunked a little bit, but I'm just gonna lifesteal off of their wolves. And the safest play here is to, retreat, go for the Elder Dragon, and use the Elder to clear, not clear, but close out the game. So here, control ward in, make sure Evelyn is not here. Evelyn is getting distracted by Yasuo on the bot side, so we know she probably isn't here. And Vladimir does get assassinated. We do get the Elder Dragon though, because Evelyn's not in time to really make it there. So we have the Elder Dragon in hand. This basically means it's going to be a free Baron. With the Elder Dragon and the Baron, probably means it's going to be a free game, so pretty textbook. Elder into Baron into hopefully a win. Here you can see we don't really even need talent. This is just me and Morgana, double teaming the Baron. We do grab that big purple worm, and grab the blue buff as well. Here we see Yone. We're just gonna attack him for fun. Of course, he can just jump back, so not really too big of a deal. Clearing the next wave and pushing in the bot wave as well. We already have a mid wave pushed in. My team is fighting without me, but they look like they are winning, so I'm not gonna complain too much. Both waves crash together, and pretty much the minions are gonna basically end the game without us really even needing to do anything. We don't even have to attack the base. The minions are going to do our job for us. In fact, I'm just farming champion damage and kills. Here I get like 2 more kills. Next minion wave is going to be coming in soon. The base only has 600 HP, and only Xayah and Gwen are really here to defend, which is not gonna, not gonna be enough. So here minion wave finally goes in. I'm not even attacking the base here. I'm trying to attack enemies, but the minions do end the game. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching the video. I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual, and goodbye.